Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, welcome to today's session of the live painting channel. My name is Warren Stokes, your host and presenter today. Start off with kind of a little bit of background here. We do this program every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Welcome to join us and invite your friends. I broadcast on Twitch, but I also post these videos on my YouTube channel. At the end of today's program, I'll post some contact information if you ever want to just get in touch. The goal of the live painting channel is really just to find a place to hang out and enjoy creative activity. In my case, that's painting. Something I can contribute a little bit about. So what we're looking at here is last week's painting. It's actually done. Took 2 weeks, actually not 2 weeks, 2 sessions to complete. Total of about 2 hours, a little longer than normal. Often I'll complete a painting in about 1 hour. But this one is a scene inspired by one of the golf courses in Palm Springs. You can see the San Jacinto Mountains in the background, beautiful sunny day. Some fluffy white clouds and the palm trees, just loved it. Inspired by a recent trip to Palm Springs that I took with my wife, Justine, and my daughter, Amber, and her good friend, Gabe. And I really enjoy looking at this painting. Kind of reminds me of kind of a thought here that I wanted to share with the audience before we get right into the new painting, or the painting we're working on today. And that is, one of the things that I think art helps a person do is not only get involved in the moment, but also help re-experience and enrich the experiences you've had in the past. Think about it. And just think about that as you pick some inspiring material to paint. In any event, we're going to put this one away because it's already done. And we're going to talk about my new painting. Our new painting. Because actually, anybody in the viewers today can suggest anything they want. Whether it's some imagery, something I'm doing wrong. I've had people in the audience gasp and say, "Oh no, you just destroyed it." But today is the painting that I started last Sunday. Tell you a little bit about it. First of all, I don't know if you remember, in the 2 paintings ago, I went through the first session and somewhere along the line the power went out. It was crazy. I mean, literally, the power went out during my live program. That's the risk of live programming, right? Anyway, the power went out, stopped the whole program, and then I proceeded to work on it for a while. And then later I decided I'd have to do some surgery on it. So I actually reconstructed the canvas while the painting was underway. Check it out. I've got some video material on that. But in any event, today's painting is inspired by a subject that I love, and that's the desert. This is a scene inspired by the mountains and the desert outside of Bisbee, Arizona, a place where I happened to be born. I've been back there 3 times. One of them was to do gemstone prospecting. I was born in the whole area of Bisbee is known for its copper mining and all the related gems and minerals, azurite, malachite, turquoise. We used to pull out chunks of turquoise about a pound or 2 in weight. Now, we could sell that wholesale at the market in Tucson for about $300. So it was actually pretty good if you made, if you got a pound of turquoise a day. But in any event, this is a typical scene. I'm inspired by some imagery I found online, and I'm going to go ahead and get that going on here. Notice I've created a little iPhone handle here. I can go through all my images on my iPhone and look at things to kind of inspire me. Just went to Mount Si and golfed yesterday. Might have to do one of those. And here's the one that I'm working on today, which is just a simple desert scene. Now, I thought the audience might appreciate if I showed you the progression of the painting from the start to where we are today. And that started last week, so I'm going to show you that. Check it out. Give me one moment. All right. So the progression of the painting started with just exactly kind of the concept I was telling you, a desert scene down in southern Arizona. And I started laying out some compositional lines. You can kind of see the lines and the various elements. And I use my favorite ratio for the painting, which is the golden mean. And then it evolved a little bit more. I wanted to put a little bit more yellow along the horizon, and then it's evolved a little bit more, and then I added the mountains, as you can see, and then the foreground. So think of it, a painting this way, especially landscape paintings, but pretty much all paintings. You have to kind of paint the background first and move back to the front. So again, if you look at this painting and you go back, it's really the very far background, which is the sky. And then as we start working on the sky and adding the mountains, and then the foreground, or the middle ground. And today what we're going to be working on is completing the painting. I might do a little bit of touch-ups on the sky, but we're going to add the middle and foreground. Awesome. So let's just get into it. Always the first thing about getting your painting started is your palette. I've created a palette. Actually, today I've got 2 palettes, okay? I've got to admit, I had to create 2 palettes, all right? So if you can see those, one's all the blues, the other's the yellows and oranges, which are the kind of the key primary things here. So what I'm going to do now is I think I'm happy with the blue palette. So I'm going to work a little bit more on the orange. And what I wanted to point out, if you think of this painting, it's actually pretty straightforward. We've got the very, very back is farthest back part of the painting in blue, and it's gradated from dark, middle, dark, light, and lighter. Notice it happens to comprise a square in this particular dynamic symmetry composition. Again, blue just starts with all blue, but it gradates from dark to light as you go down. Then I put in what I thought were some very colorful, and I've seen these kind of images a lot, which is if you've ever spent the night in desert in Arizona, you'll go, wow, that's just what I saw. These clouds that are just highlighted by the brilliant yellows and reds from the sun. And then across here, the next level up is the mountains. And they kind of look purple to me anyway. And so I put some mountains as the back middle ground, and then as we progress forward, we can see that we move into the front of the painting. Aha! Now we're going to start working on some stuff. I think I'm happy with the blues, but I want to add a little bit more of the orange stuff going on here. I love orange and yellow. I mean, such a bright cherry color. Again, I'm going to grab my orange and yellow palette, load it up with some good material here, and I'm going to go with this new orange. I've got, cadmium orange. You know, I just discovered this. It's a great orange. Just Basics. Actually, that's the brand, Basics. Cadmium orange. We're going to go with some cadmium yellow. Cadmium, I don't know really actually what that means. I should look it up. But it's always a bright, cheery color of whatever it is. Cadmium, yellow, red, etc. And then we're going to add a little bit of white, or actually a lot of white to that. Big old tube of white. And I don't know if you ever saw my warning on the show, but I do caution people about this show because it is, well, first it's live, it's real, and the second thing is you might accidentally learn something. It's not the purpose of the program, but you could. And you might start experiencing new feelings of euphoria or willingness to help others, and strange things like that could occur. But I just kind of reemphasizing my warnings that are written by my lawyers. And if you're in the audience today, I do want to make sure that the sound is okay. Anybody in the audience today can comment on how the sound quality is. I have my 2020 ATS mic, and we'll see if that's coming through good. Anyway, I'm going to go in here, start working on those oranges a bit. Little rectangular brush, nothing special. Small rectangular brush. But first thing I want to do is I just want to enhance my yellow down in there. Oh yeah. Let's just see what I can do with that. Do a little test batch. Oh yeah, that looks good. I actually just want to kind of build on this yellow right in here. That yellow is so cool. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to just make that mountain. Ooh, look at that. I made that mountain pretty much different. All right, now grab a little more yellow though, because I can tell I need it. Add yellow. I call it cad yellow. It's cadmium yellow, cadmium red, cadmium orange, and so on. Cad. All right, I'm going to go across here with build up that lower horizon of yellow. I just want to really call out yellow. I'm yellow. I'm bright, happy, cheerful yellow. Give that a little bit more boost here. Boost it up. There we go. Now I do often paint the edges on a canvas. My daughter Amber taught me that little trick. Because then you don't really need to frame it. They hang really nicely when you paint the edges. It doesn't look unfinished, if you know what I mean. Alright, that's pretty good. And again, okay, thank you for the sound check there. Apparently the sound is good, and I'm going to keep building the yellow. And I'm going to include some of the yellow hitting the clouds, because I just want a little more yellow up in here. There we go. And as we paint this, I want to share a few things, because part of the purpose of today's or all these programs is really not just it's not just an art demo or art class. It's a place to gather your thoughts and think about things that maybe you don't normally think about in the course of a day's work. But I was thinking about a concept which I learned about and I've been thinking a lot about over the years, which is, one thing is living into the future. It's a concept. Think about it. Have you ever bought tickets for a concert or airline tickets? You're going to go someplace really cool, and it's 8 weeks away, and you start feeling really excited about it, right? Today, in the moment. Even though it's not even happened yet. We like to call that living into the future, and it's a wonderful thing. Don't feel bad about it. It's a great thing, because it gives you happiness today for something that may happen tomorrow, or the next day, or the next month. Pretty cool idea. Concept, rather, not an idea. All right, I'm going to add a little more yellow. And then I was thinking about it, how it might relate to painting, and I was thinking how it might be kind of a new way to think about art, which is kind of enhancing and re-exploring your memories of something you've already done. Kind of recreating it, but in the moment. And that's what I'm doing here, because I've been in a lot of these situations where I've seen the most beautiful desert sky, or whatever it is in your world that makes you happy. Okay, see how I'm putting a little yellow on all these right in here? Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. But I do want to hear from anyone. Says you should have a good edge camera as well. Yes, I guess if you're living on the edge, that would be true, but the audience member that made that comment, perhaps you can elaborate and we'll explore that thought. In any event, all I'm doing here, I'm not going to get crazy and completely change my composition or my color scheme here, but I'm just adding a little bit more yellow, because that's what I felt the painting needed. At least that's what I wanted it to have. I'm going to go with a bunch of yellow right in here. Bunch of it. Swirl the brush maybe a little bit. Back and forth strokes. It's okay to just kind of experiment. I do like what I'm doing there. That just kind of oh yeah. I've had paintings where I was doing something and I completely destroyed the painting. But you know what? If you don't experiment, you really don't make any progress in life, do you? I like to say it, put it this way, that there's no such thing as a failure in art. Even accidents are good. Sometimes the accidents create the best stuff. Like on my last painting, I blopped some dark gray or black on the canvas, and I thought, wow, that kind of looks cool. And I worked on it more, and it became some of the palm trees. I heard one of my viewers today, or read it online actually, that the live painting channel is kind of like Bob Ross, but with more palm trees. I'm not painting happy clouds or sad clouds or any. These clouds aren't necessarily filled with anyone else's emotion, but whatever makes you feel good is what this is all about. All right. I am liking the way I'm just kind of catching that yellow glinting off those clouds. Oh my gosh, this is better than I thought it was going to be. Wee, woo. Sound effects usually cost extra. Today they are included. Yeah, I don't want to get too carried away with that idea, but in my mind, sometimes the painting has kind of a soundtrack to it. Ooh, that'd be an idea. Oh yeah, what if I teamed up with some musicians and they created a soundtrack for the live painting channel? I will have to explore that thought. Now, like I said, I don't want to get too carried away, although I'm really enjoying this, what I'm doing here. I think we got her kind of nailed there. Now, I do see in my mind's eye a little bit more orange. Okay, so the thing about edge cameras was a joke. Sometimes I take things too seriously, but edge cameras, yeah. So hey, let's let the audience look at the edge, right? Well, we could do that actually right here. I'll just take the camera and show. This is an edge camera. See the edges, right? We're talking cool, man. Edges are cool. It's an edge camera. That's an edge camera angle. It's a technical term. You'd have to go to college for it. Really understand it. Anyway, back to the painting. I do want to add more orange. I don't know if I'm just crazy or if this is a good idea, but I'm just going to take this bright cadmium orange here and I'm going to make some enhancements here so that I don't forget to do it later. Bright cadmium orange. Just some of this stuff is like amazing. Look at that color. Woo! Alright. You're probably not quite as excited as I am about the orange, but look at that. It's your painting. You can do whatever the heck you want. I'm going to really get some orange things going on. Pure. You know, I often say that in painting you don't use a lot of pure colors, but sunrise paintings, I guess you could say this is sunrise or sunset. I choose sunrise. Sunrise, a little more optimistic about the future. This sunrise painting, that's where I use some real bright colors. Now I am putting the orange along the top band of the yellow, because orange is a little darker by nature than yellow, and the sun will be coming where? In the lower part. Get that edge painting in. I'll have my edge cam crew come in and facilitate that at one point. But I'm going to put some of that right up in here. Today's painting I'm going to keep fairly fluid and spontaneous because the main thing is I want it to have that feel of spontaneity as well as just some capturing what I have in my mind's eye, which is a little bit more orange right across there. Oh, does that look good or not? I guess so. I'm committed. I once repainted a painting like 3 or 4 times over. With acrylics, you can actually do that in pretty short order. Little tip for the audience or the viewers today: you can actually take a hairdryer if you're like if you're really antsy to get going and repaint or overpaint or paint the next layer. You can take a hairdryer. I don't recommend putting it close to the canvas or on high, but it will accelerate the drying of this acrylic paint very quickly. Minutes. Whoa, look at this orange. This is so cool. I'm going to go bright, the brightest level right here. You guys ready for this? This is the brightest level of orange that I've ever put in any single painting. Let me tell you. And it's just pure cadmium orange. Pure cadmium orange. Going on the canvas. We're going crazy today. By the way, this probably should be a program that needs parental guidance, because when you start looking at these amazingly bright colors, things can happen to a child. They could become more creative. They could become all of a sudden more interested in causes and world events, and actually even their own creative abilities may start to come out. So I warn you, this is usually only viewed with parental guidance. Parental guidance suggested. PG. But I am going with this orange, man. I am locked and loaded. I am committed. I'm all in on the orange and yellow and blue. And there we have it. Now over here, I just am going to go down here though and put a little bit of orange seeping into the clouds over here. Oh my. Oh my. You know, this is actually, I'm having so much fun doing this. Kind of amazing. I'm trying to keep, actually this is all sunrise. It's positive thinking. Thinking about the new day. I got a story for you. Actually, something I saw in a movie or film a long time ago. And there's this doctor who did a study, Dr. Emoto, Japanese guy, and he did this study on the effects of a very interesting thing, simply words in language, printed or written on a bottles of water. And here's what he found. He found, and here, in fact, I have one right here, by the way. I don't know if the audience can see this, but I have this. I do a new one about once a week. I'm not sure if you can see it, but it says all these positive words on it. But what they did is this experiment where they took some of the bottles of water and they put really negative words like war and anger and hatred and pain, and they put it in the water on these bottles with just a marker. And on other ones they put words like hope and vision, integrity, peace, love, and tie-dye. Okay, I threw tie-dye in. And what they found is as they marched people through this gallery, it was an experiment. It's a true story. That people would gaze at these bottles of water. That was their whole mission. All they had to do was go gaze at the bottles of water. And then they did an interesting experiment with that. They froze all of these bottles of water. Just froze them. And they did a microscopic look at the crystals of the ice. You know what they found? It was that all of the ones with negative words had these crazy, ugly, jumbled crystals. Didn't look like crystals at all. But all the ones with the positive words, happiness, joy, love, peace, tie-dye, integrity, vision, had these beautiful crystalline shapes. True story, you gotta look it up. The film was What the Bleep Do I Know? I believe is the name of it. Google it. Find some fascinating stuff. I don't know why I digressed into that, other than to say that I think a lot of things happen when you put your mind into something. Like right now, I'm making this a very positive image. My goal here, my intention is to make this a very inspiring, positive painting so that anyone that looks at it, or if you're so fortunate as to be on today's program, that you start feeling uplifted. Literally, I'm not joking. All right, we got plenty of orange now. And I got the yellows and the blues. We're going to switch gears here. If you ever do a live painting program, I do recommend having plenty of water and brushes. And all your pigments. This is the palette for the lower part, the greens and the browns. I have just been loving the browns, the desert tan browns that I've done in the last 2 or 3 paintings, just loving it. And this one has a nice swath of it coming through here, just sand and dirt. But there's some greenery. We're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna, actually, no, stop, hold on. Before I do that, I am just realizing I need to do a little more detail on the mountains because my other stuff is gonna be in front of that. So just a little more detail on the mountains before I dive completely into that. So what am I going to do there? Well, I have to think about it. The mountains are definitely purplish, but I have a feeling they might contain a hint of a warm color. Those are all cool colors because the sun still kind of leaking over the mountains could contain kind of a hint of this kind of cool color I'm going to make. We'll see. And so what I just am doing right now is I'm mixing just a little bit of this raw sienna. Nice color. Which I used in some of the dirt there. And I'm going to just see if I can put a little definition here into these mountains, like they're coming down. Oh yeah, like that. A little bit of light and dark. Because these mountains they're not like flat, they have depth to them. So I'm going to put a little bit of depth into these mountains, like little valleys coming down and stuff. Just to give it a little bit more depth. Very subtle. At a glance, you probably won't even see all these little changes I'm making here, but study it. You think the mind's eye will get you believing that that's what it is. All right. A little bit more over here. Again, just making some of those little valleys. That one has some real ragged stuff happening on cliffs, maybe over here. There's a place, by the way, in Arizona, amazing place, called the Cochise Stronghold. It's up in the mountains. This is kind of actually, perhaps it's actually painting them, where Cochise and his warriors lived, and they were actually normally a very peaceful nation, they called it. But the white settlers were just relentless in trying to track them down all the time and basically annihilate them, genocide them. And there's this place called Cochise Stronghold up in the Chiricahua Mountains in southern Arizona, just north of Bisbee, where these people lived and hid for 50 years without getting caught. Pretty amazing if you read about it. All right, I'm liking this. That's all I wanted to do is just add that little bit of mountain depth. In fact, if you can't see it, what I'm going to do here is zoom right in and show my audience today. Oh, see? I think it's achieving that effect right on. The mountains. I was just adding, I'll point to it, adding these little highlights or lowlights almost. Had a question from our audience today as to whether or not I've ever done palette knife painting with acrylics. I guess the actual question is, hang on just a sec, get my auto cam fixed. Have you done palette knife scraping for mountain highlights, or does that only work well with oils? No, this is a good acrylic technique. What the heck? Let me just grab a palette knife. I forgot about that, man. That's one of the best techniques. It's because it gets you a nice kind of a palette knifey jagged effect here. Now, where did I put my palette knife? When I find it, I'm going to add some of those palette knife effects. Here it is. We're going to do it. Okay, so thanks for that comment or question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that same pigment that I was working on with a palette knife. Now this is a little bit small, and I can actually do some of these effects with just a palette knife. Ooh, I like that. Real edgy. If you like edgy stuff, ooh, palette knife only. Yeah, look at that. I think on a bigger painting, I'll have to try palette knife again for the whole, or a lot of it. I'm liking that. Thanks for the suggestion. See, this is not a brush, palette knife. Just gonna putting it in there, and just by its nature, it's going to be a little bit more jaggedy. Good idea. All right. Yeah, you can paint with almost anything. Palette knife, paint with brushes. Let's go paint with a palette knife. All right, very cool. I like it. This little mountain on the left needs a little bit of palette knifing action too. I could just tell. In fact, I like it so much, let's put a little bit right there. All right, we are getting good right now, having fun. In fact, I like it so much, I'm going to do kind of a band right there where the vegetation starts. Oh man, if you've never done it, go to the desert sometime in the spring That's kind of what this is, springtime desert painting. It's the most freaking amazing, inspiring thing you'll ever do. Lots of cool places to go in Arizona, even in California. We went to Joshua Tree National Monument and had a wonderful trip there just last February. All right. In fact, this is so good, I'm going to start, well, call me crazy, but if it works, right? So I'm going to start creating a zone that kind of gets us into the vegetation area here. All right. And all I'm really doing here is I'm finishing up the background here. I'm keeping an eye on the clock because I know nobody wants to spend their entire day watching the live painting channel. Or do you? You could. But we're going to now think about our next level up. Let's level up here. Okay, let's level up. What are we going to do? Well, I'm liking this painting so much I don't want to mess with the background anymore. So I'm going to think about the middle ground, and I can see there's some cacti in my future. Wait. Before I do that, I just had this flash of inspiration where what I really want to do is do a little more work to the sky. Okay, so I'm going to take this fan brush here. I'm a fan of fan brushes. I'm going to take that same palette, my yellows for now, and I'm going to leave it fairly dry. In other words, I'm not dripping the brush in water first. And I'm going to create just a little bit of lively action off these clouds. Yeah, like that. That's exactly what I had in mind. Nice. I'm going to keep it fairly dry. I'm going to put just a little more fan brush action in there. Across here, and kind of see that there might be kind of a wind scooping it up and to the left like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. Don't get carried away, Warren. But you got it. That's what I wanted right there. That's the effect that I wanted. All right, just making a little swooshing movement with my fan brush. And, you know, I'm going to stay out of the grays. I'm going to go crazy with this yellow and orange. Speaking of orange, though, I do want to create a little bit of that action with my fan brush with the orange now. Just add a little orange here. A little bit of yellow and white. We can kind of get like this, real loose. Yeah, like that. Let the paintbrush sing. All right, across there. Up and down, a little bit up here. Why not, man? A little atmospheric stuff. Loose, keep it loose. Yeah. All right, cool. That's pretty much it. All right, now we're going to go into like phase 3 of this painting. This will be fun. If you're painting along, you don't have to go into your phase 3 whenever you're ready, but I'm going into phase 3. And I just have some cacti in plural, I guess, cacti in my future here. So I got to decide what color to make them. You'd think they're green because they are kind of greenish, but I think what I'm going to do is surprise everyone and start painting blue cacti. Yep. That's what I said. Blue. Might wonder, why would he do that? I've never seen a blue cactus. Well, here's the thing. They're going to be backlit, first of all. Okay. So it's really more of they're creating a shadow effect. I'm just going to see what happens here by putting this. Look, now, this is such an important move here. As you all may know, I often do these little brush tests, as I call them, swatches. I'm going to just see what that looks like. Kind of get an idea of what I'm doing here. See if I'm going crazy or not. I think that's going to work. So, remember, this is backlit cacti. Backlit cacti. Okay, so now this case I went with ultra ultramarine blue, and the reason I chose that is that it's a little more violet-y, better for shadows than the phthalo blue. And plus, I didn't want it to look necessarily just like this guy. I'm just going to go for it. Sometimes living in the moment, that's what you do. You just go for it. So I mixed up some that ultramarine blue. I'm going to put a little bit of darker on the tip of my brush. We're just going to start going in here. You know what? I could do it randomly, but I am really not that random type of a guy, so I'm going to go like this. I'm going to think about where I want this. Alright, there's that. There's that. Yeah. There's that. Everybody in the audience, what is he doing? What is he doing? And he's thinking about where to put his next strategic object. And I'm just going to go with a diagonal. I got it. Right there. Now, if you haven't ever done this, you can use your pinky finger to help guide the brush so you don't make a gigantic mess of it. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to stroke it down like so. And there is our first cactus. Whoa. Everybody's going, well, I guess that's it. We can wrap up the painting. Not quite. I do like that. In fact, now I'm gonna put this is gonna be a Saguaro Cactus. So it's gonna have a couple of these things on them. Like that. So good. The blue is totally, this ultramarine blue is exactly what I was hoping to get. Lucked out. I'm going to zoom in. See that? Well, it's not done, but that creates the basic idea. It is backlit, so this is the shadowed side of a cacti. Cactus. One cactus is a cactus, by the way. Multiple cactuses are cacti, in case you didn't know that. A little tip for the audience there about cactus counting. Cacti. I'm just adding a tiny little bit of roundingness on this cactus here. The round brush. That their ends are always kind of round-ish. I like that. All I'm trying to do is keep to my image that I have in my mind here. Maybe there's a little piece that sticks out there. Alright, I'm going to keep doing this with 2 or 3 or I don't know how many more. But it's definitely the idea that I had, so I'm going to keep going. And I got to remember, think about where I'm putting these, okay? So, I don't know if you guys saw what I did, but I took the main diagonal and I took a right angle to that main diagonal, and where they intersected I created a vertical, okay? Got that? Now, one of the things about art is depth. Perspective, it's called. And one of the things that the eye is kind of conditioned to see and thus believe is that objects of a similar size get smaller as they go farther into the distance. So guess what I'm going to do here? Anybody want to guess? You feel free to just chat it up. Alright. What is Warren going to do here to create that sense of depth? Given what I just shared. Well, maybe, just maybe there's one of these cacti that goes right here. I just had a little dark ultramarine on my brush. Thought I'd give that a little bit of dark while I have it there. Maybe there's another cacti that lives right over here. It's a little same size, but farther away. maybe there's one that lives way down here. Right over here. It's even farther away. It appears even smaller. Not to get carried away with this concept, but I'm having fun with it. Let's just keep it up. If you are trying to grow cactus in Seattle, forget about it. It won't work. Just kidding. All right. So to recap where we're at. If you saw this from the beginning, actually you didn't necessarily. So let me recap by showing you the progression of the painting, okay? From the beginning to where we are now. I had some good comments last time I did that, so I'm gonna just switch over to my high-tech studio here and show you something here. It's gonna be the progression of this painting to where we are now. And here we go. All right, so this painting, sorry, it's got to go back to the beginning. Slideshow from Kurt Slide. Yeah, here we go. All right, check this out. So the painting started by simply laying out a real simple composition, my diagonals and my rectangles and such, where I wanted stuff to be. And then I basically started working on a simple sky theme, which had blue background going from dark blue to light blue, and then yellow to red, kind of on the top. You can see my sketches of those cacti right in here. In fact, next one was I added more yellow because I just wanted more yellow around the horizon. And then I started working on the clouds to add a little bit more orange to the yellow. See the mountains start to appear. And there's that foreign middle ground. And that takes us to where we started today's painting. Pretty cool, I think. So let's get back to the painting here. Okay. I'm going to continue with the putting in some more vegetation, in this case mostly these saguaros, and just add a little here and there to the ones I already created. Just, you know, they might have a little bit of stuff going on with them. And I'm going to put one more way back, one or two more right back in here. And where do I want to put that one? I think I want to put it right in here. Farther back, farther back. Kind of F that one up. Haha. Bleep. Bleep that comment. But here's the cool thing. I'm just going to fix that one by putting in some stuff right along in here. Ooh, I like that almost. Whoa. Actually, I don't. So come on, get back into the thing here. I'm showing you how you would fix a mistake, but then I just made another mistake that I kind of like. I like it because look, here's what I was talking about. Those mountains needed that lighter violet. Oh, see, good mistake, Warren. Good mistake. Holy cow. I'm not kidding. That's how it works, man. Mistakes can be good, and I just showed you that. Wow, cool. But now, I needed a finer brush is the whole problem. I have to look for my smallest brush. The tiniest little brush that I have. And you know, more often these days than I used to in the past, I actually really enjoy this tiny detail stuff because the trained eye, have you ever trained your eyes? The trained eye will see these things, at least subliminally, and they will revolt if what what the eye sees doesn't make sense to them. Yep, they will revolt. I'm taking a tiny little brush. I'm making some tiny little, actually they're the same size, just tiny little, they're the same size cacti, just farther back. Okay, I believe we got it. Now, we are not done, folks. Got another 10 minutes or so. And we're going to put in some dark green shadowy stuff here. All right, so where's my green? Here it is. It's going to be mixed with the dark blue and gray. I don't need a whole heck of a lot of it. And we are actually getting to the point where, you know, at some point you got to say finito, but not quite yet. I'll show you why. But I'm going to take that cacti mixture. I'm going to start just laying on a little super dark green. The eye can hardly see it, but it's there. And now, well, I got that green, dark green going on. I'm going to do a really cool thing, I hope. I'm going to make myself some yucca. Yucca is this is saguaro. I'm going to make a yucca now. I'm going to make a yucca cactus. I know where do I want to put that right here. Right here. That's going to be good. Now I got to have plenty of water on my brush for this. This is going to be a yucca cactus growing right here. They are a nice cactus. I remember when I was living down in Arizona, I used to collect the yucca spears. And they were kind of like wood, and I would make picture frames with them and sell them to the tourists. Yep. I used to do that. I think that was, what was the bicentennial? 1977, yeah. In 1977, I was down in the desert painting pictures like this with watercolors and selling them to the tourists for like $15, and I was like I could live like a king on $15. I happen to have one for the audience here today. Oh my God, look at this. I don't know how I saved this or got this after all these years. This was one of my actual yucca frame paintings, painted in 1977. And the yucca, look at that, just basic, some kind of scrounged up cardboard, a little piece of electrical wire for the hanger, and the frames are made out of yucca, and that's a watercolor. Pretty cool. That was survival back then. Right now I'm doing this not for money. Just not a hobby either, more of a passion thing. Anyway, I'm having fun making my yucca plant right here. It's looking pretty darn good. I don't know if you can see it. I like it so much, we're going to paint one more of those. This one's going to be coming right out of here. I'm going to pick up the diagonal with one of the main things on here. Wow, look at that. That's ridiculously cool. I think what I'm doing here is just making another yucca. Another yucca cactus. Oh, people in California discovered these and they became a very popular yard ornament, kind of a landscaping element. In LA, people like the yuccas. Remember, they come out to the front too. They're not just growing out to the side and the back. So we do something like that. Give that whole effect so the eye believes it and it looks actually kind of cool. Oh, and by the way, look at that little brush. It's a pretty nice little detail brush, but it's longer. Good for making yucca spears in case you ever need to. And while we're on a roll here, I don't want to be crazy, but I'm starting to see a yucca right here. Yep. It's a nice image. It's a nice geometrical pattern with radial, whatever you call a cactus branch things here. Radii. Alright. Give it a little more depth yet, because this is a bigger yucca plant. We're gonna actually have some of these going way up like this. Why not? My painting. That can be what I want. Now, we're really close to calling it finito, actually. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a big bold step here. I'm going to pick up some of the highlights of this. And I'm going to highlight a little here and there, just a really tiny bit here and there. My yucca plants. Because the light is probably hitting them. Sunrise. And they're picking up a little bit of that yellow. Pretty good. On this one too. And then why not have a little bit of edge highlight on the cacti. By golly, that's about it. I'm gonna say we're done here. Put a fork in it. So we're going to just sign it. That's fun. Let's sign the painting. Okay? I'm going to sign it right now. Plenty of water. That same little brush will work good for this, I think. Plenty of water on it. I'm going to make a little sand-colored signing area here. Definitely have to test that. Oh, it's going to be good. So in case you are just joining us, sucks to be you. You just came in at the end of the program. The good news is we paint painting every Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And this is the live painting channel. My name is Warren Stokes, your host. I'm going to go ahead and put a little tiny signature down here. One of the things I've come to believe is that I needed to start dating my paintings with the full date, because should archaeologists discover this in some future century or millennium, I want them to know what millennium it came from. So rather than just putting asterisk 19, I put the actual full date and my signature. And there you have it. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Really had a lot of fun. Join me next week, or any Sunday at 11 a.m. for the live painting channel. I'm going to post my contact info in case you need to get in touch. Thanks, and have a great day.